Is this thing on?
Can everybody hear us? I sure hope so, because we have a lot to talk about.
Welcome to our podcast, Unapologetically Mixed Up. I am Kelly, and this is
Mike.
This is not a one-size-fits-all podcast. We will be discussing multiple different topics, from mental health, marriage,
And don't forget the sports.
animals, and more. There are going to be real, raw, and emotional episodes where we show you our most vulnerable moments. Follow us and our guest on this crazy ride we call life.
And don't forget to follow us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our email address is unapologeticallymixedup@gmail.com.
I was telling her, I don't know if she shared this with you, but the reason I wanted you guys on the podcast to tell his story is because he is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, I was floored at those last videos that you posted, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago or something, of him like talking and picking up the right things. And I'm just like, holy crap. They told you guys like he was not going to survive. This is it. You know what I mean? He'll never walk. He'll never talk. He'll never, all the things you've said on, social media. And that floored me. And that's when I told him, I was like, we need them on the podcast. People have to hear that because there's more people out there like you.
Yes.
That maybe don't have an outlet, don't have a community to go to, and they're existing while the whole world is going on.
Yes, and you do
and it's
feel
sad.
You do feel isolated.
Yes.
Just being a whatever you want to call it, a medical parent of a child with disabilities, medically complex, any of those, it's very isolating.
Yes.
I mean, we have lost whole friends because of it. We have... It has totally altered our life, and you do feel isolating. And I remember writing something one time about feels like you're like on this island, and you see all those people like over on that other island, and they're like having so much fun, and they're all like friends and together, and you're like I want that too. And then, but you're not really like welcome there because
you can't,
you're different.
you can't go to their house all the time. Like you got to, because Brantley's got a routine. He likes to be at his house. Like he gets anxiety and can cause a seizure if he's in other places. So like you can't go do these certain things if you don't have a nurse.
Yeah.
And then like we got to have nursing for work and this, and kids sports stuff, so we can't utilize the nursing for like to go hang out with friends and stuff like that.
Right.
So then some people are like, oh, they don't just ever want to come over to our house, or they can't never do anything. So it's like then you don't get to have those sort of friends. So
Yeah.
Which is sad because they should be looking at your situation as a whole and realize, okay, well, X, Y, and Z, that's why they can't come over. Let's come over to them.
It literally
Let's hang
is
out
just
with them.
being accessible for us. Like, that's what it all boils down to. And it's not even just been friends. Like, there was a situation one time where there was like this fun trick-or-treating thing happening. And we got a text that was like, oh, well, our daughter is a little bit sick, like not feeling well, so just beware. It was like, oh, okay, so me and Brantley had to stay home.
Yeah.
So literally my kid missed out because you brought your sick kid.
And not only it could have affected Brantley, but like everyone else.
Yes. Yep.
There's other little kids there.
And that's what being on that
like-
island is like.
Well, yeah,
You're
they don't get it.
No, and I don't think
A lot of people don't. If they're not medical.
right. And I don't think it's their fault sometimes. They're just like, well, kids get sick all the time.
Yeah, like it's just a cold. It's not that big of a deal. But like a
It could
cold
kill your
could
child.
take ours. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And it's just crazy though, because people have seen that. So you would think people would be like more, which I will say we are very blessed with the people we are surrounded by now. We have really met some great friends that understand our life and care and talk to Brantley. It is crazy though. Sometimes people even come to our house and like talk to all of our other kids, but don't make the time to go over to Brantley. He's a human too. He's a little boy.
He understands, even though he's becoming verbal now, with everything going on. But even if he was nonverbal, they understand. I've had nonverbal people I've taken care of I still talk to him. I do whatever. You know what I mean? I tell him what I'm doing.
Yes.
And I've had aides and other medical people tell me like, oh, they're nonverbal. Like they don't get it. Okay, well, I'm also not just going to go in there and stare at you and do whatever I need to do. That's creepy. Yeah. Okay, number one. That makes me feel uncomfortable, so it's got to make you feel uncomfortable. You know, it blows my mind.
And like nonverbal doesn't equal deaf, stupid, soulless.
Right,
like,
right.
They still need love and respect and attention. And even when Brantley was nonverbal, I would talk to him nonstop. And I think all of us continuing to conversate with him and like, let's put your shirt on now, Brantley. Like he associated those things. He learned
he gets
from
it.
that.
Yes.
But yeah, it is isolating, and I think that's why it is so important to tell our story, even though it's really hard. But in the ICU, when we were praying over Brantley, I remember us just like promising God, like, to share our story and to share all of his glory, like everything that he did.
And there's a lot of in that instance where it was like the faith was being tested, because even after we pray, he still was slipping like further and further. But when it got to a point when they said that, you know, we got one last line of like keeping him alive is the ECMO, which basically they're pulling all his blood out or doing something, like they're putting in his veins to like.
Dude, I don't know.
It was real weird. Like,
I've heard of it, but I don't really know.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like it's pumping the blood for. It was a machine. He was living off a machine. It's supposed to keep him.
It's the highest form of life support.
Yeah, it's supposed to keep him so he can heal himself, because like nothing's working. Like your body's just trying to heal. But
did they end up doing that?
No, they talked about it because that was the next step.
And we signed the release for it.
We
like
signed
we
everything.
were to
we were
that
like,
step.
That's fine. Let's, whatever it takes, because they were like, there's a lot of things that could go wrong as well. So like it was a risk.
Oh yeah.
But then you're testing your faith. Like, I just prayed like, God, why didn't you do anything? But you got to keep that faith. And then, and then to the very last minute before they're going to hook it up, then it changes. Then this is getting better. Then this is getting better.
We
and
can't
then every
really
hour,
explain it.
And every
insane.
hour, it gets better and better and better. And then days it gets better, and then everything gets better, and then you're home. You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's like, wait, what just happened?
Yes,
like the last couple weeks of our life, and that's insane to me.
It was basically his blood pressure. So he had sepsis.
I was going to ask, so in the end, what caused all of this?
It was
still the backup. He was constipated. But
now, infectious disease tried to do an investigation to find the source of the infection. They feel as though it was related to the being backed up thing. But because Altman treated him with an antibiotic, they couldn't find the source of the infection, which I'm not saying that was a wrong thing to do, but basically his blood pressure just was dropping, and he was maxed out on meds, and that's when they were like ECMO. And I remember 4 people from our church came and sat. How long do you think they were there?
I felt like they were 2 to 3 hours. I felt.
Okay, that's what I felt.
And they kind of just hung out with us, which was kind of what we needed, because we prayed, and then they just talked to us, and it wasn't about Brantley. The beginning was, but like
some of it was, but it wasn't even all like bad. It was like funny memories, and then we just talked about random stuff. Like I remember learning Pastor Chuck has always wanted to learn how to do pottery.
Yeah.
How random.
And that is one random thing that I'll never forget it. And we just like talked about random life things, and I think some people would have felt almost like uncomfortable doing that. Like you had to sit there and just be sad, and it was not. I felt a lot better after they left.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you just need people distracting you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Like we already know something very sad is happening. No one needs to remind us of that. But
you don't need to keep talking about it and talking about it, and especially because you're there with Brantley. Even though he was medically induced into a coma, he can still hear you.
Yeah.
You hear stories about that all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they still hear things going on.
And the doctors were shocked. as well, like how quickly he got better. So like,
I think everybody was.
oh yeah,
I mean, it
so
was
like,
insane.
and then when he's out, like he didn't lose any of his like, what do I say, mobility or his verbal, like he just went right back to normal after so long. But
it was like nothing.
the funny thing afterwards, which was another mistake, was he was on the blood pressure medicine.
No.
No, he was supposed to be on blood pressure medicine.
No. Remember, he started a new kidney medication. It was not supposed to be.
Oh, that's right. So
It was a new kidney medication.
And when we got home, we got the kidney medication from the pharmacy, and he was on that for like a week. And then
3 times a day.
something happened, and we had called the ambulance.
Well, Jessica our nurse was on the phone with his kidney doctor, just like going over meds and making sure like the MAR was correct and everything. And she said the name of the medication. And this was my first day back to work too. She said the name of the medication, and she was like, the nurse was like, no, that's not the medication. And Jessica was like, yeah, it is. I'm holding it in my hand right now. And then panic set in because it was a freaking medication to lower your blood pressure.
And that was his whole problem in the ICU, was keeping him there for extra time. That almost got him the ECMO because his blood pressure was too low.
Oh,
so we've
it
been
almost
giving
took
him
his life.
Yeah, we've been giving him blood pressure medication to lower
3 times a day.
3 times a day to lower his blood pressure.
Oh,
and this was a pharmacy's mistake. And then when the ambulance came, because we had to like try to, without taking him, we didn't want to take him all the way to the hospital to get his blood pressure checked.
Yeah.
They mentioned that ambulance can do that. They can come to the house and check your blood pressure.
But this was like very serious. Like the kidney doctor was like, we're getting a room ready for him here. Like he's going to be admitted again. Like it was like such a big deal. And like, we're again like, are we going to lose our child? I mean, Brantley,
he wasn't acting weird though.
but he was, but he was still recovering.
Yeah, so we thought
couldn't
maybe.
tell.
Oh yeah, because he was still kind of like tired
And he couldn't
lethargic,
walk really
which makes
good.
sense if his blood pressure is really low. You're going to be tired.
Right.
So, anyways, when the ambulance came, one, they didn't have a blood pressure cuff for babies. And then they had to look up to see what they were Googling what the right blood pressure was for a
They're
baby.
supposed to carry that stuff.
And
They
then
were
told
Googling what is a normal blood pressure. We cannot make this up. And no, it was not Halloween, and they were not wearing costumes. These were real life. I don't know the difference between an EMT and a paramedic, but they were one or the other.
And then
I don't know either.
And
Actually.
the dude had the audacity. It was like, well, now you'll probably check the medication before you give it, right? Like, that's what he told us when she was crying. We were all standing there.
Like, thanks, dude. I think we already know that.
He
You don't need
shamed-
to. Shame.
And
What
remember,
the-
he first shamed Jessica immediately when he walked in our house, which we all, I mean, that went through multiple people, nurses, me, you. I know, she's snuggling me.
Which is so. I love that. She doesn't do that, really.
She's my emotional support cat right now.
I was just going to say, she's your emotional support. She knows.
She needs to come over here.
The
Right.
medication
Where are the other cats?
went through so many different people. It was no one person's fault. And also, when you get a medication and the name is different, there's generic forms. Like his glycopyrrolate, his Couposa is also called glycopyrrolate. His hydrochlorothiazide is also called hydrodiaryl. Like, that's not unusual.
Right.
And also, I think you just usually trust your pharmacy that you're going to get. And again, this is not a dig against the pharmacy. We still use the same pharmacy. I don't think that they're a bad pharmacy. I think they care. I think
Mistakes
they made a
happen.
mistake.
So, did they have the actual correct order and they sent you the wrong thing?
That is correct.
Okay. So,
Yep.
the doctor did call in the correct thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they just filled it wrong.
And Brantley.
Jesus.
Somebody might have been getting his kidney medication.
Let's just recap. The EMT or paramedic, whatever you were, Googled what is a normal blood pressure.
For a
And
baby.
then parents shamed you.
Let's just recap on that. So I actually
Should have
ended
been
up.
like, oh, you should probably know, right?
Right.
I ended up calling his kidney doctor. I'm like, they're Googling. I don't know. What should we do?
Yes.
And so we told her what his numbers were. I still to this day don't even know what a normal blood pressure is. We should probably know that. But he was stable. He didn't have to go to the hospital. He was fine.
Yeah, I don't know what it is for kids. I know for adults, but not kids.
Yeah.
But
that's just a crazy thing also. Like, he
It was
should have
just, like,
probably been put in the hospital again, but
yeah.
I would say God.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
It was crazy. Okay, but if we're going to tell that story, then we do have to tell the third and final insane thing that happened following the ICU stay, the kidney stay.
Oh,
Remember? Mm-hmm. Again, no way you can listen to all this and actually think this is all a coincidence.
Right.
At this point, we're about a year into our,
Is this, hold on, I don't mean to stop you. Is this after the last year, February 14th
Yes,
day?
yes.
Okay, so within 2023.
yeah, so
Okay,
this is
okay.
after the EMT thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was after the blind diagnosis.
Yeah.
Then his kidney numbers were not staying stable. They were like all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And his kidney doctor truly and honestly tried so hard to keep him out of the hospital. Like, if she could monitor it outpatient, she would, because
Right.
she knew Brantley's like severe anxiety. Unfortunately, it just got to the point where he needed to be admitted.
Right.
They were not able to stabilize his kidney numbers. And this was also weird. We were all, as a family of 6, so me and you and all 4 kids, were going to Culver's out to eat. Remember? We were on our way there. And we never all go out to eat. One, it's $5 million.
Yes, especially now.
Yeah,
Like,
so expensive.
Yes. And 2, like, Brantley doesn't eat.
yeah.
And he gets anxiety in like crowded places, so it's just like not an enjoyable atmosphere. So if we do go out to eat, like, we try to have a nurse for him so he can be where he's comfortable.
Sure.
For some reason though, we were all going out to eat to Culver's, and on our way there I got the phone call from his doctor, and she was like, I'm really sorry, but in the first thing in the morning you're gonna have to bring him in. We have to admit him.
Yeah.
So kidney kiddos stay in oncology. Kidney and cancer kids and blood kids, I think, blood disease kids all stay together because they're like very high risk. You don't want to get sick, none of that.
Right.
So, and I remember being weirdly calm. Like, remember, I didn't cry. You were actually more anxious than me for once. You were like,
Because think of all that crap that just happened.
Right, right.
and I, for some reason, was just like, I don't know. I just think everything's going to be okay. Like, I can't explain it. And, you know, it was a weird vibe. We're like, and we had to tell the kids. So we're all like out to eat, but it was kind of like mopey and like no one knew what was going. That, we didn't really talk about this, but that whole time was horrible for our other 3 kids. So basically, while Brantley was in the ICU, we did 24-hour shifts. So Steve would be with Brantley for 24 hours, and then around 4 or 5 p.m., I would go to the hospital and we would do a shift change. So then I would be on Brantley shift. Steve's on home shift. Home shift is grocery shopping, dinner,
Everything.
getting kids to bed, getting kids to sports, homework, getting them to school. Like, we have 4 kids. It's crazy.
Right.
And to try to do those things while you have a child fighting for his life was horrific. Like, I remember going to the grocery store, and I literally was in the bread aisle, and I called my mom. It was going to make me cry.
Well,
I
grab
called-
another Kleenex, girl. That's like a. What are you gonna wipe with that?
Because you got to try to, like, life still goes on. You still got to
Yes.
try to, like, for your other kids.
And you
Yes.
can't just be crying all the time.
Correct.
You can't be depressed and crying, and like, how's that going to affect your other kids? And Lou was young. I mean, Lou was only just 3. Yeah, she just turned 3. But she would say, like, I miss my Bubba. Maddie and Jacob had a hard time with all of us being separated. But I remember, and I did the first home shift because your mom stayed with the kids, so we could stay one more night together with Brantley, and then I went home, and I had to get groceries, and I'm just like standing in the bread aisle, literally out loud, like out loud crying, looking at the bread. And I called my mom, and I was like mad. I'm like, how am I supposed to pick out what bread I should get while my son is fighting for his life right now?
Right.
And I was just like, it felt impossible to grocery shop. And I mean, I don't remember, but I do think I came home with groceries. But I like physically don't remember any other aspect of buying groceries during that time. I do remember during that time, like going to the store a lot and trying to get stuff for the other kids.
Yeah.
Because I was struggling. Like I didn't even want to talk. Like I didn't want to laugh or do anything, but we tried so hard for the other 3 kids, and our family tried really hard too. Like they took the kids to do fun things, and people gave us gift cards, and it was really nice. But I just remember always like buying like Legos or just trying to bring some form of joy home.
Right.
But that was hard. Sometimes the kids would come during shift change too.
Yeah, they weren't allowed back there to see them.
They were not allowed. Once he was stable, I mean,
We still had to like fight for them to come back because nobody under a certain age could come
Yeah.
back. So it was like a big ordeal to like try to get them.
but I remember Maddie, one night I picked Maddie up from soccer, and we pulled into a parking lot, and I was like, listen, dude, like your attitude has been really rough today. Are you okay? Because like you're being kind of mean and it's just a lot right now. And like I remember Maddie just breaking down, like sobbing, saying like she just told me everything that was going on. Like kids aren't helping with the science project. Everywhere she went in the school, someone was saying, I'm so sorry about your brother. And she said, I know they're trying to be nice, but like it just reminded me how sad I am.
Yes.
And the older kids like don't really show their emotions as well, especially in regards to like Brantley or traumatic things. And I think that's a trauma response.
Sure is repressing.
Yes.
Because you don't want to feel it.
We talked about a little bit. But it just like reminded me like, oh my gosh, like this is so heavy on them too. And I'm like sometimes just in my own little world, just like trying to get through the next moment. Like, okay, now I have to cook dinner. Like, can I do this without crying? And I don't know. It was hard. And I think a lot of people don't think about how hard it was on our other kids. Like, you know what I mean? I can't imagine, like people would say like, I can't imagine if that happened to my child. Like they would imagine from our perspective, but it was so hard for Maddie, Jacob, and Lou.
I bet.
And they handled it well. I mean, they did, but it was hard. Yeah. Oh, this is how I am. Story jumping. We were trying to tell the story about the kidney thing.
Oh, yes. So the Culvers. So you guys eat.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next day, what happens?
We take him up there, and then he has to get, like, what?
I think he had to get a PICC line. That's why we were in the OR.
So with the nurse in the room, because we had to wait, because he had to get, like, put to sleep to do all that. So me and Brittany were just talking. We're like, watch them, because they had to pull a bunch of blood, like, multiple times. So that's why they put it in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, watch them not even... There's nothing wrong with this kidney. Like, they'll be perfect.
Watch his labs be perfect.
Yeah, because, like, we had faith in God. So, and the nurse was, like giggling, like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen, unfortunately.
She
like,
said that.
And I think she was just like, like,
Oh
of
my
course,
God.
you're not going to be here
Where do
if his
these
number...
nurses get their degrees?
Yeah, I don't know if we get bad ones, or maybe we get ones that God puts us there to try to, like, prove a point to them. Like, hey, God does some
I mean,
great
he's
things.
already testing everything else. Like,
Yeah,
come on, God.
I mean, test what we can handle, But so yeah, she laughed about it and stuff like that's never usually the case. So just maybe to try to let us know, like, hey, don't get your hopes up too high. Like, this is a hospital. Like, you're here. Like, it's usually the reason. So, anyways, and then we go. Where did we go? Was it that day? Well, he spent one night there.
Yeah,
they were doing
just one night.
Yeah, they did one because they drew blood like every 6 hours, maybe 3
but
hours.
Are you gonna say what happened after the first lab draw? The first lab draw.
Was it the first one?
That
What
we
were the-
said.
Oh yeah.
Watched his numbers come back. His numbers came back perfect.
Perfect.
Like
We didn't even need to be there.
perfect.
And that's what happens with kidney disease. It fluctuates just like that.
It does.
I have a client that does that.
Okay.
One
Yeah,
minute
so-
it's crucial, and then the next minute it's like, what the hell happened? You know?
So they still kept us there just to keep doing
Sure.
it, to keep making sure, and it never slipped. It stayed the same. And then the next morning, all three of his kidney
Nephrologists.
3 nephrologists or whatever the word is, came in and were just shocked. Like, I have no idea. Like, you guys can go home. Like, that's literally what it was.
They were like, we literally cannot explain this, but I guess you can leave. And we're
See
like,
you later.
Told
And
you.
we did mention like, hey, we know it's God, but like,
Right.
I don't think. Even if they did believe in God, I feel like they're doctors.
Mm-hmm.
They follow the science when it comes to that kind of stuff, or like
Yeah, and they also have to watch what they say.
Right.
A lot of people do in the medical field as far as like religious things. They have to tiptoe.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but
It is very, very unfortunate. It is.
yeah. So that was that. So then we went home and haven't been.
Don't even say it. We all know
There's
what
no
you're saying.
wood around here for me to knock on.
No,
Right.
we don't
Yeah.
believe in jinxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do not believe in jinxing.
But yeah, so I mean, it's been good. So
Good. I want to back up. So when all of that happened last February, you said you were put in a room with a,
Child life specialist.
what is that? That's what what is a child life specialist?
I don't know, I
So,
feel like they're there
ba-
just
ba-
to make you feel better.
Well,
Is it like a
in
social
our-
worker?
In our sense, our son was in a coma.
Yes.
So she was more there for moral support for us.
Okay.
But basically, the child life specialist is to help ease, just to make the child more comfortable. Like, they bring toys, they
Okay.
have tablets. They're a distraction, just to try to bring any kind of joy and ease anxiety from the child.
I didn't
Any-
know that even existed. That's fantastic.
So like any appointment, at least at Akron Children's, I'm sure they have it at like Jude's and stuff like that. But pretty much any appointment, you can say like, "Can we get a child life specialist?" If your child is anxious, yeah, you can do that.
What about
Sometimes
Altman, Mercy, like hospitals like that? Can you get it? Or
no,
Yeah, I don't know. We never had a. We
Yeah,
never
we've
stay
never
there
had
long
that.
enough with Brantley.
Yeah, they
Thank God.
always,
They always ship them off.
thank God,
yeah.
They just don't. They're not.
they're not equipped.
No.
But I do wonder now that you said that their NICU.
They still won't, because that's
Oh.
been a couple years now, and they
Yeah, because
even
they put
have.
Akron Children's up top.
Yes, they have an Akron Children's unit, and they're like, "No, he needs to go."
He's just so complex.
He is-
I think even more than.
So what are they there for then? What can they do?
Maybe if a kid
think for the-
just has like
prematurity, like they can probably keep them on oxygen and stuff
Yeah,
up there. You know,
okay.
do that kind of just like get them to get home.
I don't really
but if
know.
if there's like any kind of major surgeries or anything like
Yeah.
that, they probably ship them out
Yeah.
for sure.
ship them out.
Ship them out
They
Ship
bring
'em
this
out.
big container when they're little, and then he goes.
to FedEx you go, Brantley.
Slap a sticker on him.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like forget that the things we've been through aren't just like normal things everyone goes through, because like
It's not.
we'll just be like,
Sometimes you gotta like try to laugh, enjoy it. Like, wow, that was a lot of crap. You know what I mean? Because like
It
where
is.
you're at
And you
now.
both made it.
yeah.
And he made it, most importantly.
and we made it together.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
because when he was born, they were like, I think they mentioned that like most marriages
Our
fail.
first Akron Children's nurse. It was
Yeah.
our very first one when we got transferred there. You know why? Because remember, we
Oh,
fell
yeah.
asleep holding hands.
And they were like, you guys are like great, or like, and they were like, most marriages, people that have NICU babies end up splitting. That's just the stress.
Yeah.
she was basically
And-
like, this will either make you or break you. Like,
And it
you
even
had
got,
to be,
it even got worse after that. We both lost our jobs. we couldn't pay our house payment. We had, like I said, no gas to go see him because we had to drive 45 minutes every day. Every day, there and back, sometimes multiple times.
We missed our house payment multiple times. We had to borrow money for groceries. Like, it was like, I honestly thought, like, we were going to end up homeless at some point. Like, it was a scary, scary time, and we weren't even married.
And I wouldn't say it was like we were great. Like, we had to work hard.
Sure, absolutely.
Our relationship was
It just wasn't lucky, like, oh, like, we're good. Like, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Our relationship went through some very, very, very dark times. And a lot of people see our relationship and say, like, oh, you guys are so lucky. Like, we wish we had that. And it's like, dude, there is absolutely no luck about what we've overcome. And I mean, we've had betrayals. We've had just a really toxic relationship. I genuinely don't love thinking about the beginning of our relationship. So yeah, it's not luck. You have to work very hard, and
Yes, you do.
and it's even harder when you're trying to overcome like all of these medical things, and there's like people
Then you have exes and
causing conflict.
there's all kind of just things that work against you. So
I also want to ask you, I want to go back to when you said that when you were recording him having that first seizure, and you said you had people like hating against you. Like, touch on that. What do you mean by that? Like,
oh, like, we're just
Like, did you send-
how could she be videoing it? She just
What kind of mom videos her kid
she
dying?
Just want like a bunch. Does she want
fantastic
a bunch
mother.
of bunch of money, like because people feel bad for her? Like, there was that kind of stuff, or clout,
like from friends and family, or like social media?
social media.
Social media, 100%.
Or like, oh, I'm sure she just wants everybody to send her, a bunch of gift cards, stuff like that, or just like
It was-
clout, so
it
you can
was
have
horrible.
more people to follow you, or more people like.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
And it's also like, so don't raise awareness about anything then, because do you remember? It was before Brantley's ICU stay. I received a hate message from someone. Like,
Did you know them? Or
I
not?
did know this human being, and
I like how you say human being.
I did know this human, and I did refer to this human as a friend at one point, and from my knowledge, nothing happened. It was another just drifted apart kind of thing, which was very common, because again, our lifestyle is not the same as other people's with kids, and there would be some frustration with that.
Absolutely.
And that's okay, but there was no like fight or event that like made us unfriendly with each other. To my knowledge, I still had positive thoughts about this person. Like, I didn't think negatively of them completely out of nowhere. And I do just want to add, this is exactly how the enemy works, like the devil. Completely out of nowhere, having a great day. It was a Saturday. We were having like a great family day. I received the most insane hate message from this person. And it was long. It touched on Brantley and kind of that same thing, like, you just love the attention and all this stuff. And then it touched on my severe postpartum I had with our daughter, our 4-year-old Lou. It was bad. It was a horrible message. And I don't even know. I don't know why people like have so much anger in their hearts in the first place. To even if I felt negative feelings about something someone was doing, I just don't have it in me to send a hateful message saying these are all the things wrong with you. And also, like, you're just a terrible human being in general. And
People just get jealous. Like, I guess how quickly you can turn whatever sadness around, or if things get better for you, maybe it's not getting better for them. And like that could be some, partial reasoning of what's behind people's hate.
They're uncomfortable with themselves, so
Yeah,
they want to
and
make other people
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
The
Because
weird
it seems
thing,
like it's when you're doing good. That's when you're going to get the most hate. When you're doing bad, they're
And-
there for you. They're going to help you. They're going to do this, that. But as soon as things are going good, it's like,
and that's exactly when the enemy attacks. When you're on the upswing of things and you're glorifying God, and that definitely was what was happening. But the very weird thing about it was this human had made posts about their child's medical ailment. Do you remember? Like many. I'm talking posts of like a child saying they didn't want to live anymore.
Oh wow!
I just thought it was weird, like to receive backlash when they had even done a similar thing trying to raise awareness about what was going on with their kid, and it was like, that's kind of weird. Like,
Right.
but I think, I think people are insecure with things they might be going through. They might be going through a horrible time in life, and they're like, why are they so happy, or why are they so positive? And
Let me bring them down so they can be on my
Oh,
level.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
sick.
we deal with a lot of that. But I think the difference now is it used to, actually, I even responded to this person's
I was gonna
message, and
ask,
I
yeah.
said, now this is about a journey, a year into our journey of finding God, finding a real relationship with God, and developing a strong relationship with God and having faith. So I handled things differently. In the past, I would have said, come over to my house and tell me that.
Yes. Yes.
Come on over. You're texting me, dude. Come say that to my face. I really would have said that.
Yes.
And I probably would have, been like, oh, well, you're this and you do that. And
Yes. To tear them down.
Literally, where does that get you? I bet you that other person would be smiling like, that did exactly what I wanted it to. Look how worked up she is now, and I see that now, and also it's just like I basically was like, listen, dude, I don't know really what I did to make you feel so negative about me, but like I can see you're angry, and that's okay for you to be angry with me, but I just want to let you know I'm not angry with you. Like, we're good. And do you remember the response I got from that? She said, nah, I know you have anxiety. This will sit with you for a long time.
Oh my goodness.
I actually still have the message, and I just thought, wow, that couldn't scream the enemy attacking more.
Yes.
Like,
How long were you friends with this person?
Well,
I mean,
you had known her longer.
yeah.
I don't know. It had been like a year. We would try to like give her odds and end jobs. She always needed like extra money to support her kids, and we would try to help. And we didn't really have tons of money. It was so weird. Like,
That's very bizarre.
very, very unexpected from that human, and went on to say, hey, I've befriended this other person who also hates you.
So there's like a hate group for Brittany out there.
And sent me
It's a great club, I guess.
screenshots of their conversations just saying how much they hate me. And I'm like,
That's special.
It is really shocking.
Yeah.
Because genuinely in my heart, I never ever want anyone to feel hurt by anything I do or say.
Right.
Truly. And if I do hurt someone, I want to know and I want to make it right. Like, I don't want anyone to feel hurt by me.
Right.
And I think that comes with like having a relationship with God. Like, I just don't want to make anyone feel negative feelings. Now, if something I'm doing for a good reason gives you negative feelings, like raising awareness about my son. I'm not doing that for attention. I'm doing that because I have a lot of medical parents that follow me and they find support in it.
Absolutely.
They feel like, oh, okay, she goes through this too. Like, I'm not alone in this. Like,
It's a community.
it is a community.
Yeah, there's so many different communities for everything, so what does it matter? You know?
And I think
Right.
one time me and Steve said, like, oh, we're only allowed to post about our typical kids. Like, oh, Lou knows the alphabet. But we can't say, like, what Brantley is doing. Like,
Right.
it just seemed really weird. And typical parents will post when their children are struggling with something or if something happens. And I think there's what do you call that? There's like a weird discrimination, like when you do it with your disabled kid.
Because it's
I'm-
uncomfortable for people.
Yes.
I
Sorry
find that a
made
lot.
you uncomfortable, but this is also one of my kids. I'm going to post about him too. I got a weird comment on one of my Instagram videos because my disabled child was in the video. They said, "Oh, using the disabled kid to get views. Nice." And I said, "Oh, dang it. I forgot. I got to throw my disabled kid in the corner while I record videos." Like,
Right.
what?
That's insane.
It
It's
is
because these people are
insane.
uncomfortable.
Yes.
Well, and I think like his story does get a lot of attention.
Yes.
Usually. So I feel like people think like correlate that to like we're just looking for attention or views or growing a page or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
It's
just
so
weird.
sick.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's also frustrating because I think like everyone wants people to know their intentions. Like, so it is frustrating when people assume that you have ill intentions. Like, if you could just come spend a day with us and see our relationship with all of our kids, I think it would be very clear our intentions on spreading any kind of awareness, whether it's about being a stepmom, having stepkids, having a disabled child. Like, I mean, we have so many different angles to our story.
Right.
And we're public about it.
Yeah, I think
And-
this episode, it's like 2 hours. Can you imagine? It probably would be. You could go on for
Oh,
days.
I could have you guys back multiple
Oh, yeah,
times.
definitely.
Multiple. Do we need to cut it though? Do you need to get home to him?
Oh, I don't know. Or put that salon chair up, I guess.
I mean, here soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to like affect anything.
I have one question. When Brantley dressed up for Halloween and made the news, please talk about that. He
That-
was so freaking cute.
That was actually crazy especially because we had this image in our head to do the up costume. And the funny thing is now today he loves that movie. At that time he wouldn't even watch it. Like
Yeah.
he didn't care about it.
Yeah.
And it was like running around like, and then I remember at one point we couldn't find the bow tie and I was like, whatever, let's just get a stupid bear costume. Like,
Yeah.
I was so frustrated trying to find this costume. And we went into the store and found the bow. And so it was like it was like that day that
Yeah.
we took those pictures. And the other cool thing was, at that time, Brantley's anxiety was pretty bad. But that day, he had like the best day ever. He was so happy, so joyful, smiling in every picture. I was humongously pregnant.
Yeah, and they just were super cute, and I sent them to the news just because like I seen other people put their kids. You
Yeah.
know, it was just a normal thing.
Yep.
Like so, and then
That
like
was also his first Halloween. He
Yeah.
celebrated outside of the
Yeah.
hospital.
so then like the next day I was working and like I was in and out of service because I was mobile at the time, and I got a message from News Channel 5 and they were like freaking out like, hey, we need to talk to you about this and that, and like I was like, whoa. And then I was out of service, and I'm like, damn, I really wanted to tell Brittany this. And like when I finally got service, and then like 4 other messages popped up from like 5 other different news outlets. And,
Oh, I
like,
didn't know
magazines.
that.
You
Yeah,
wouldn't-
all that day. And then when she did talk to one of them, just every 5 minutes she called me and was like, hey, USA Magazine reached out. They just reached out, like London, BB,
Holy
whatever
crap.
that. Like it was
He
blowing
was
up.
worldwide within days.
It was the British, that side of their news.
Oh my God.
And
Did you guys ever do interviews or anything?
Yes.
We had.
We did a few.
Well, they came out, and Fox 8 came out.
Remember,
and
I
did
didn't
that.
wear. Oh my gosh. This needs to be talked about. We went to physical therapy at Akron Children's in North Canton. No, it wasn't that much. It must have been while we were there. Fox 8 News called me and said, like, can we come right now and do an interview? And I'm like, we're at PT. Like, I'm not even home right now. And they're like, it's fine. We'll come there. And I'm like, what?
And they were down here quick.
Oh my gosh, I didn't wear
Snooze,
the one
booms,
day.
everything. Let's go.
Wow.
The one day I didn't wear makeup, I looked like a slob kebab. Remember, you
Slob kebab.
Yeah, you came in your work clothes. I'm like, bring my glasses so I can at least cover my eyes.
And then what was the other place? It was the dude from
Access Hollywood.
Saved by the Bell. That dude.
Mario Lopez.
Yeah, Mario Lopez. They did a interview with us like over Zoom.
Oh my God.
He called our son cute. That was so exciting. But
You guys-
he was
You never
worldwide.
posted about this, did you?
Girl,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not kidding. Ukraine, China, Mexico, every 5 seconds, I felt like
Holy
like we
crap.
were like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Dude,
Like-
then what Gap reached out to us because they wanted to do
Oh, yeah.
a
Oh,
photo.
my-
They wanted to fly us out to New York so he could
And do a photo shoot for the
For, like-
spring catalog.
for like the
Oh my
was the more special
God.
needs like part of they were
They just wanted to be inclusive.
Yeah,
That's what it
inclusive with
was.
it.
So
But she was super
unfortunate,
pregnant.
yes,
She was about to pop,
unfortunately,
so.
we
Yeah.
could not do that because I was already high risk because of everything.
Plus, it probably would have been dangerous anyways with Brantley. He was younger, more
Yes.
susceptible.
He was more fragile.
Oh, that's
definitely.
horrible, though. I wonder why they couldn't come to you. Oh my God, that would have been precious.
It was
Yeah.
I love it.
insane.
I love it.
Like,
But it's funny how things like it's so quick nowadays. Like,
Yes.
then like 2 weeks later, boom, nothing. Like, nobody wants it. It's on to the next thing.
yeah,
Yes.
just
on
And
to
that's
like
how
next
the world
fizzled
works.
out.
Yeah.
Well, and then
But with that story, there was a bunch of people that reached out to us, but somebody we didn't even know. Some guy said he was a recovering
like drug addict.
and he saw Brantley's story, and it like really inspired him to change.
Oh.
So like
Yes.
He touched hearts.
he touched everywhere,
Yes.
someone's heart, and
Yes.
That's
that's
awesome.
That's
that
beautiful.
was like we thought about that was the main. That's a good thing, and that's why we wanted to keep doing it.
Yes.
Not for clout, but like change somebody's life. Like now they're
Yes.
not
like inspire people because
Yes.
they did. You know, we were just like, with everything he has going on, like he still has so much joy, and it's just like it is inspiring. It inspires us. Like, dang, Brantley went through all this. Like,
And
I
I'm
he's
can
still
get through
happy.
this bad day.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm scared to get a shot, and he gets poked and
Right.
things ripped out of him and all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You just chill about it. So
that was
That's insane.
a crazy time.
Yeah.
So then 2 years later, because I think the next year he spent in the hospital, but then the following year we tried to do a Halloween costume that would like.
it was a Minion one. We had a
Was
Minion
it the
one.
Minion one?
And
When
then
did we
it was
do?
the president one.
Dang.
Oh my God. Yes. I remember the president one.
That one
I
was-
made his wheelchair into a podium.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was pretty cool.
Steve can do anything, literally. We were excited about that because we wanted to like. We were hoping that would go off with the news and
Yeah, because-
that we could really make a difference in
With the-
raising awareness
With
about
like
how.
Medicaid and stuff like that, because we're on the verge of losing all of his stuff because we make too much money. Like, and it's
Of
like,
insurance.
and it's only like $100 more. Like, it's that such a thin,
Threshold.
of what you can make, and it's like even a millionaire couldn't take care of Brantley. I mean,
Right.
Because we looked it up. Just his medications alone for a month is like $4,000 if
and
you
that
didn't have
was-
insurance.
That was at that time. He's even on
Yeah.
more medication.
Yeah, so
Wow.
like, it's
Let
just
alone
like the whole
feeding
medical
supplies.
stuff in America just is not, it's just not right.
It's not.
No.
No, it is not.
And it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not saying you need like free health care and all that stuff for everyone, but like there's certain, you got to break the thresholds down a little bit for certain scenarios, and they
Yes.
don't. It's so cookie cutter.
Yes.
So I think that's the main thing that we were trying to do is like, you got to look at this in a different aspect because there's people out there that have different scenarios. So look at it by individual. I know
Yes.
it's a lot more work, a lot more time, but like it would really help people. a little bit
Absolutely.
closer. That's my
The
politics
medical
on it.
system is definitely flawed, and I think everyone can agree with that.
It don't matter what
Yeah.
party,
I definitely
no matter
agree.
what party
Yes.
you're a part of.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
the medical shit sucks.
Yes.
And
yes,
I
it does.
think-
Very much so.
I
And it's
think
getting
just-
worse.
Yes.
It is getting worse.
Yeah.
And I work within the DD community, and I see it every day. And it's sad. It's
You
sickening.
do. And unless you are someone with medical needs or love someone with medical needs, you don't know what is going on. And I think also a big thing for us was like,
We talked about even getting, like, you might even have to get divorced and like move out to be
Yes.
able to afford his, like, and that's not cool. Like, family has to split up just so you can, because it's
Just so your kid can
it's
live.
cheaper
Yeah.
just to quit, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes. So, like, in certain scenarios. So it's like you can't better yourself and actually try to work up in your position and, you know, do things you want to do, because then you lose everything for your son. And
You
even
are
work
punished.
insurance. Yeah, even work insurance. Like, I don't know. It don't cover all his specialists. He's got like how many different
think-
specialists?
That was one of my
13.
questions.
Yeah, he's got like
13.
13 different specialists. They're not covering all that. They only cover 30 hours a month for nursing. Like, it's just all this stuff that, like, even my top dollar, which would be thousands of dollars a paycheck, still won't cover all his stuff. And, like, you can't afford it. So, like, what do you do?
Yeah,
So that's what needs to change for sure.
it absolutely does.
that was like a real conversation, us talking about getting divorced.
And you'd have to
to-
move out, because it doesn't matter. Even if you're divorced, if you're living in the same thing, my income counts because it's my kid. So there's like that weird red tape.
Oh.
So it doesn't
And he
matter.
would have to pay child support legally.
So she would have to move out. Like, it would have to be like
Yes.
we're separated.
Yes.
It's
You
real
just
weird.
spend the night every night.
Yeah, there's
So
there's so
weird.
many weird red tape thresholds. It's just weird. So
It's, oh my God.
it's rough. So,
I
yeah,
can
And
only
just-
imagine.
Just the inaccessibility of the world in general.
Yeah, that's
like,
true too.
like literally in general. Like, the world is not an accessible place. The
Like,
world
they're
is
trying.
made
There's certain things, you know. They're trying, but it's
trying.
Quote unquote.
It's just like the world is definitely made for abled people.
Yes.
And that's another thing you don't see until it's your life.
Just, you don't hear like politicians really talking about that when they're trying to get the position. Like, oh, I'm
I've
going to make
always-
more in this, you know, accessible.
I've always
Ramps
said a
and-
medical mom needs to run for presidency.
Yes.
Somebody needs to be in the cabinet of the presidency that has special need kids or medical things, so you can see.
What is she?
I think you pretty much made us go get a cat after this.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
We're going to PetSmart, and what kind of cat is this?
Tuxedo, I think. I don't know.
She's
Black and white.
smiling.
She was found on the streets.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But if you stock, this is what I did for her and Maisie. Actually, Maisie, I sprung on him. It was the day after my hysterectomy in December. And I was stocking PetSmart. The Humane Society of Stark County, and they'll post where the kittens will be. And I saw where Maisie was, and I told him I had to go into PetSmart to get something. And then I drug him over there, and I was like, yes, her. We put her on hold and took her home the next day. But
We
that's
got-
what you have to do. Stock the Humane Society's page, because they will tell you. And this is
Okay.
kitten season.
Oh, we got lucky with our dog. She is really a good dog. So maybe we can get lucky
She's
with a cat.
the literal best dog in the world.
Lou would love a cat. So
Yeah.
She would.
You're welcome.
She was so
well, we're trying to convince her. She was the one on the fence. So now we're.
I was.
Yes. I mean, this is
I'm
pretty
still
insane that she
scared.
has been laying there the whole entire time. Because I'm
Usually
telling you,
she's playing and
doing 360s all
Yeah.
over everybody that's sitting. And
She's just snoozing.
Maisie and Harrison didn't even come down.
nope.
That's
See,
weird.
That's God. He wants us to have a cat.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
She's going to do a photo shoot now.
Oh, jeez, that's the ceiling. I gotta take a picture. Her little teeth are showing. She's like, it's so cute.
Oh my God. So we have talked
Almost 2.5 hours.
almost 2.5 hours.
That's great content. When we try
Yeah.
to do a little bit of ours, like 30 minutes, and we're like, all right, that was good, but
Yeah. Well, we have some episodes that are like 40, 45 minutes. You know, not everyone's going to be like an hour or 2 hours or whatever.
Right.
We'll split this up into 2 parts. Though.
yeah, because you would have
Yeah.
to just for. I don't even like listening to a podcast more than an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh wow.
Yeah. So before we end this, I know you do stuff on the side, like woodwork, building things. Do you still do that for people?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you own the hair salon and you're doing hair and your socials. So I don't know if you want to list your socials verbally or just text them to me and I can attach it so people.
Yeah, probably just text it to you.
Yeah, I can text them to you.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Yes,
you,
thank
guys.
Yes,
That was fun.
it definitely was.
Like word vomit, though.
I know.
Like story vomit, I guess.